And the Pharisees came up to him and tested him, speaking of Jesus, by asking, is it lawful to divorce one's wife for any cause? So back in Deuteronomy, which is in the Old Testament that follows the nation of Israel, Moses, who was the leader of the Israelites, this is thousands of years before Jesus, they gave this law, he gave this permission, if you will, that a man could divorce a woman if he found any indecency in her at all. And so thousands of years have passed since this permission was given by Moses. And there was some disagreement over what it meant. What did it mean for a man to be able to divorce a woman? And so they come to Jesus with this. Because there was one camp, Jewish camp, and they said, if to be indecent meant to just be unfaithful to your spouse, physically unfaithful. That was the only reason you could divorce her. The other camp had a much more liberal view of indecent. It meant literally anything that you didn't like about her. If she had, an indecent tone in her voice, if she had indecent cooking skills, if she had indecent morning breath. And I know this is funny, but I'm actually not joking. One rabbi who kind of head up this liberal movement, he is quoted as saying, if she consistently burns the bread, you may divorce her. Now, even a couple thousand years later, this question is still relevant to us because as a society, we hold to this liberal view of divorce. This is why we have such things as no default divorces, where we claim irreconcilable differences or incompatibility as a reason to be divorced. We have such a liberal view of divorce that it's often celebrated. In fact, you can go on Amazon, and if you search up divorce party, it'll give you a whole host of options of divorce party supplies you can buy with balloons and banners and tablecloths and little napkins that say finally divorced. So this is a relevant question for us to have Jesus answer for us today. So how does Jesus respond to this question? He says in Matthew 9:4, he says, have you not read that he, speaking of God, who created them from the beginning, made them male and female, and said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Then in verse 6, he goes on, he says, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. As we hear in so many ways. Jesus says, listen, if you want to know how to handle divorce, you need to look back to what marriage is supposed to be. He says two people come together and they become one flesh. Not two just becoming closer together, but two becoming one flesh. And the Hebrew word here, it means to cement together, to super glue together, to gorilla glue together. And this had several purposes. One, it provided companionship. God said it's not good for man to be alone. It caused man and woman to become more holy. It helped to fulfill the command to multiply, because you need two to multiply, to subdue the earth. But most of all, and we often miss this, marriage was created to bring glory to God. This is the most ultimate thing that we can say about marriage, that it exists for God's glory. Do you know that about your marriage if you are married? Your marriage exists primarily for the glory of God.